Hello, everyone. Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. This topic is rather interesting in several ways, and I decided to do a little more research for myself, already knowing what I knew, but I'm like, is there more here to this picture that I don't know? There's canning lids that are made in the US and canning lids that are made in China. And some of these, even the Chinese ones, are actually pretty popular and highly promoted brands from other content creators. Sorry, I dropped my pencil. I was going to leave it, but then decided I might need it. Let's talk about what lids I think you should. I'm going to talk about jars too, but let's talk about the lids I think you should avoid. My personal opinion, okay? And that would be 4 jars. That's at the top of the list. Per and Denali. So brands you may have heard of. I've never used Per Denali. I've tried some of the 4 jars simply because I ended up with a free box. I'll get into that 2 different times. They sent me a free box. Never asked for them. But anyway, all 3 of these are made in China. Any lid that you find for cheap on Amazon, if it's made in China, you should avoid it. I wouldn't trust any canning lid. Jars, maybe, but any lids that are made in China, personally, you can only trust the company that's giving them instructions to make sure that they're meeting the appropriate standards. And they might tell you that, but how do you know? Because of the whole Jarred Up July, and I was like, oh, I got to make sure people know that they can actually save 25% up until July 25th. And so I wanted to hurry up and get that out there. So I made a post about it somewhere in the conversation. Underneath that post, somebody was asking about the 4 jars lids, and I said that they were made in China. Well, somebody must have read that comment. They didn't reply under that. They said it, made it as a separate comment and said, 4 jars lids are not made in China. They are made in the US. And, you could tell just they were probably a little annoyed, like they think I'm lying about it. Well, I can definitely tell you I am not lying about this. In fact, the very first box I got from 4 jars, this is the second box. I was trying to find the first box so I could show it. I did take a picture of the back of the box where it says they're made in China. Back then, you could actually read it, but if you weren't paying attention and didn't look for it, you would have just assumed that they were made in the US because they said 4 jars USA, and it had a little flag on it, and it said American brand or something like that, with around the flag. So the assumption was, oh, these are made in the US, and these came out during the whole pandemic thing, and nobody could find lids except for the Chinese made ones on Amazon. And then they fell for the 4 jars. And what happened was 4 jars shipped these packages of lids out to a whole bunch of different content creators like myself, unsolicited. I never had heard of them. They just went down to the post office to check the mail, and what's this? Never heard of this. That alone had me a little suspicious because usually companies will contact you before they just send you stuff. And because I was already suspicious, I looked over the box good. It says 4 jars USA. That's their tag for Facebook, right? And so again, makes you think they're made in the US. But if you keep looking and you look farther down, you could see in red at the time, made in China. So I'm like, okay, they're made in China. But then people start talking about how they're made in the US and blah, blah, blah. Just like this woman who was trying to tell me they're not made in China. Oh, some other people then informed me because they probably never found the writing on there, or they heard another channel, maybe they hadn't ordered the boxes, or, talking about 4 jars lids and how great they are. You got to remember that when content creators are given something for free, naturally, especially if you become an affiliate and you're getting a commission off of the sales through your link, you're going to want to praise it. But there are a few of us out there that are going to be whether I will not affiliate with a company unless I believe in them. Or if I started affiliating with them and sharing the link, and then I saw some discrepancies, things that I thought were wrong, I will cut them off. No more. I will not promote them anymore. I will not purchase their products. And I'm going to stand by that. And as such, because I made that mistake a few times by like, oh, this is great. You know, this place contacted me. I got this free stuff. And so far, I'm really happy with it. Now I won't do that anymore. I will only reach out to a company that I'm already using their product and believe in. That's what I did with Dr. Jacobs. That's what I did with Superb. At the time that I reached out to Superb, they didn't have an affiliate program set up yet because it was still pretty new. But it's going to be me that reaches out to them, and I'll only do it as an affiliate. I'll never do sponsors, because with a sponsorship, they tell you what you have to say in your little commercial. With an affiliate, you say whatever you want. You can say, you know what? These lids really suck if you want, because it's your channel. It doesn't matter if you got the stuff for free or not, but you will still, there's, no matter how honest you are, you feel this automatic obligation that if you got something for free, like, you should say something nice about it. And so there's already that pressure. And then if you're the kind that's just all about the money, then you're going to praise it up one side and down the other and whitewash the things that I'm speaking in general terms. Please understand that. Not everybody's like that. So what happened though then was, like I said, some people were actually contacting the company. It's like, where are these lids made? At the time, they would answer them and say, well, currently they're made in China, but we're going to have a factory soon here in the United States. We're working towards that. Okay, well, that's cool. I guess I can understand that. Well, then they really kind of stopped even saying that. And I've had several people recently tell me that they've reached out to them to find out where they're made or if they're made in the US, and they wouldn't even bother replying. And then when they sent me, I don't know if I got this box maybe 2 years ago. And you won't be able to see it anyway if I hold it up to the camera just because it's bleached out. But even without the bright light, if I was to hold this right up to the camera, you probably still wouldn't be able to see that right here in a very, 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 very light gray print, it says made in China against a white background. It's practically white on white. And when I got this box, I was looking to see, oh, maybe they moved their packaging looks different. Maybe they actually got a factory in the United States now. And so it took me a while to be able to see this. Well, I knew basically where to look because I remember where it was on the other box. There it is. But you got to put your glasses on and have a bright light. So to me, that right there is deceptive. And then the other part of this, and those who have been following me for a little while will already know this because they've heard me share this. The last time I went to do a video about lids, I thought before I say anything about 4 jars, I want to make sure I go and check and see if they're made in the US or not yet. And so I was checking all over their page. I couldn't find anything that said they were made in the US. I finally found their FAQ, where if you go to their main page, you have to scroll down to the bottom and you'll find the FAQs. And the question is, who makes these lids? Is the question. There's nothing, it doesn't say where are these lids made. It's just who makes these lids. So you think, okay, well, that should be where I find my answer. Well, when you start reading the answer, you have to be careful not to just skim it, because if you just skim it and you're looking for USA, you will see USA and you'll think, okay, they're made in the USA. No, read it. You got to actually read it. It says actually nothing about who makes them or where they're made. It says nothing. It doesn't even answer the question, that frequently asked question. It doesn't even answer. What it says, I'm going to paraphrase because I'm not going to remember exact word for word, but you can look us up yourself. Highly experienced canners all over the USA love our lids. Something to that effect. That didn't answer the question though. Then what I did was, because this person was a little annoyed about the one I answered her, but she never responded. Maybe she realized she was wrong. I don't know. But I decided maybe I should make a post about this again because I'm seeing this 4 jars is still getting highly promoted all over the place. I made a post about it on my Facebook page. I have a Facebook page, Rain Country Homestead. And I put that very picture I'm talking about, that close up I took of this, so people could see for themselves. Put your glasses on. And Heather from Needy Homestead, she made a very thoughtful comment under there that I want to read to you. I asked her for permission if she minds if I read her comment in a video. And she said, go right ahead. She goes, I've been silent on this one for too long. So I learned some things from her comment that I did not already know. So some of this was new to me. I haven't been able to vet everything yet, but Heather doesn't strike me as the kind of person that would just make this up. She clearly did her own homework about this herself. So here we go. Fantastic post, sis. I have so much to say on this topic, but I have bitten my tongue for years. Honestly, 4jars, in my opinion, is one of the most dishonest companies I have ever seen, and those still promoting it are equally dishonest at this point because they have proven themselves time and time again. It is our responsibility as an online presence, if we are promoting and profiting and pushing products to our followers who trust us, to know where and how the products we promote are made. The influencers that continue to push the narrative that 4jars was the only company that was there for us during COVID are deceivers. And I'm going to stop right here because that is 100% true. The only company? What about Tetler, a U.S. company? They've been a U.S. company all along with their reusable lids. I've been using them for many years. These are my second favorite lid right now. They used to be my very favorite, but now they're my second because I like Superb better. But still a great company. I'd still recommend them. And Superb came out at the same time. Made in the U.S. They were already a company making metal parts that was already established. And when they saw the need of their local community, the Amish in particular, because they're out of Ohio, needing lids, they started hand crafting these lids, like literally by hand. My light back there is freaking out again. Stop it. Just so you know, 4jars was not the only company that was there for people. Just because Ball and Kerr couldn't keep up with production because it was just unprecedented what happened. And you can't blame them for that. And by the way, Ball and Kerr are still made in the United States. So let me get back to Heather's thing here. So after she said, are deceivers, she said, just because you repeat a lie over and over again does not make it true. They slapped their name on a cheap Chinese lid that at the time we were all avoiding from Amazon and called it a USA product. Anyone can obtain an American business license for $10 to $20. Doesn't mean it's made in the USA product. But that was the false narrative they pushed. They have been planning to move production to the USA for years now. 6 years, by the way. Never have, and let me stop for a minute. I do understand these things take time and money to build factories, etc. I get that. Never have and never will is what she says. It's all a lie and a scam. They just keep pushing out those cheap Chinese products with a smile and a nod. This company even went as far as creating a canning book using stolen material from people's websites and blogs without permission or compensation or credit given to the original creators until they were called out for it. Then they had to remove it from their website. You could still obtain a copy of it by PDF from 4jars by emailing them and requesting a copy. They have yet to disclose what's in their plastisol on their lids. How do we know it's safe for food preservation? They have no clue. It's made in a factory in China. Their pressure canner should have been recalled when it was found to be defective, yet you still see influencers using and promoting them. The list goes on, including not paying compensation to some of its affiliates who have since stopped promoting them. Wow. The people that really believed they were who they said they were or what they said they were. I have never used any of their products, never endorsed them, never will. Scam artists and liars. The main sales representative doesn't even know how to can. Sweet mercy. So asking her any questions is useless. I am sure that was by design. The owners of 4Jars also sell skincare products. Canning was a bandwagon they jumped on after COVID for easy, fast cash, and it shows. Don't trust anyone using or promoting 4Jars. That's my best advice. It makes me sick how people will push anything for a buck. Always do your own research and ask around. Good people will speak truth, and experience goes a long way. I personally only use Ball and Superb Tattlers for my reusables. Now, here's the next one. Harvest Guard was developed by a stolen design from Tattler by an estranged son who was greedy. I wouldn't touch that company with a 10-foot pole either. God bless and happy canning, the needy homesteader. Now, I knew that about the Harvest Guard because somebody else had told me, and I did a little research into it and found out it was true, which is why I will not buy Harvest Guard. They're basically the same lid as Tattlers, but it seemed a little underhanded. Still made in the US, but I wouldn't buy them just because I want to stand on principle on that. I'm going to stick with the originals. I don't need to buy any more anyway. I have so many Tattlers. I bought a lot and somebody else gifted me a lot. So just like jars and lids of all kinds. I keep ending up with a bunch of them without having to buy any anymore, which is nice. I'm going to put in the description box down below a link to another blog that I found that I think is also a few years old, of a person who felt pretty much the same way and the same way I did. And they did their research and found out these, lids are made in China. They're not, there's a lot of deceptive marketing. I'm like, okay, good. I'm not the only one saying this, because I was feeling really guilty at first. I didn't want to say anything bad, because sometimes some of the things you can only get made in China. It's not about that so much that they're made in China. It's about the transparency and not being fully honest with people. Even if they ever do finally follow through on their word and get their products, moved to the United States, just the whole deception, this whole thing, their website, and not even being forthright and transparent about where the lids are made, not even answering the question at all that they put in their FAQ, I think is really, really wrong and deceptive. Let's talk a little bit more about what you can do. So I mentioned already the Azure Standard jars, though they are great jars. And the only reason I even have any is because some of the products I bought, like their peanut butter and some pickles and something else maybe, that they sell in jars, that's their own product, they sell in their own jars, the Azure Standard jars. However, if you were to go buy, it will say right there, all you got to do is look, their jars are made in China. At least they're being open and honest and transparent about it. They are great jars, best I can tell, and I love the picture on them. However, if you're looking for USA-made jars, Ball, Kerr, Golden Harvest, and the Bernardin, maybe is how it's pronounced. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's mostly sold in Canada, but here's the thing. All of those, the jars and lids, are made in the United States. So it's just the one brand is the brand that goes to Canada, all made in the US by the same company, which is a Newell company now. And so those are all US made. My issue though with the Ball and the Kerr, they're just not as quality as the ones when I first got into canning I was buying. They're thinner. Well, I don't know if they're thinner, but this part right here where it seals, it's harder. It's not as thick. And it made me realize this is why suddenly after years of canning, I was losing I was losing the seals on my jam jars, because when I'd make jam, I wouldn't can it, like I wouldn't put it in a water bath canner. I would simply put the lids on, clean, right? Making sure they're clean, everything's hot, put the lids on, put the band on tight, invert the jar for like 5 minutes, and then turn them right side up. And the heat from the jam would, because you're putting everything in there hot, would then, heat up the lid so that when you turned it up right, it would then seal. Didn't have any problems. And then suddenly 1 year, I started having issues with my jars coming unsealed in storage. So after that, I had to start using I had to start canning them for, running them in the hot water bath for 10 minutes to make sure they sealed. And then I found out because I was following Half Acre Homestead, and she was pointing out the differences in the lids. So here's some other things I want to show you. So now you've got the Superb. This is the regular mouth, since I'm talking about lids right now. And then I don't know if you'll be able to see it in this image. So I'm holding a ball lid and a Superb. The Superb is definitely, you can feel the difference in weight and thickness. It's definitely firmer. And the 4 jars are the same. They're just as thin as the current ball and cur lids. But the big thing is this little sealing part here. This is soft and it's far thicker. So this is why these are better for sealing, be it canning or vacuum sealing. So anyway, in comments down below the video, share what your favorite canning lids and jars are to use. Even if they're like the Azure standard, jars that are actually made in China, share your experience with those. So anyway, thank you all for coming in, and I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day, and take care, and God bless.